Hey friends, welcome back. This is Dolynny TV. Glad to have you aboard this evening as we get set up to discuss some of the latest issues in Edmonton Oilers town. Oh boy, training camp is a mess, or is it? That's where I want to discuss this evening. I'll also have news on the training camp cuts today from the Edmonton Oilers and an update from Bob Stauffer in the same go. Before we get there though, if you're new to the channel, I want to hit you early in the video. Just simply take the rest of the video, take a poke around the channel, do what you got to do to consider hitting that subscribe button here on Dolynny TV. Love to have you aboard and really love to have you hanging out with us for the rest of the season. Closing in on 17,000 subscribers, just about to 16,850. So number one thing you got to know today is that there were some camp cuts, as there will be for every single day the rest of camp as we wind down to October 9th. That said, Bob Stauffer giving us the new number with 5 players injured. The Oilers have 41 players left in camp, 13 defensemen, 4 goalies, 24 forwards, and a fourth line center, second, third, right pairing shot defenseman still up for grabs. So that's where we continue. That is where we went into camp. That is where we are now. The Oilers sent Max Warner, Noel Hoffenmeyer, and DeYoung down to the Condors. I think Ethan DeYoung is a guy that will be trying to fight for a spot on the Condors, whereas Hoffenmeyer and Warner have their spots. They've earned their spots. They're just trying to get to the show. So that's what you need to know on that front. Max Warner, I think I said it today, and maybe not fairly, not having been able to watch every preseason game fully, is Max Warner is a guy that I full well expected to take the opportunity here at Oilers camp this year and run with it. I mean, just take a run at making the conversation interesting. Didn't happen. That's fine. There are some deficiencies in his game he's got to work on, and that'll be worked on in Bakersfield, and there's no harm, no foul. After all, he's not a guy we've got top pairing expectations on by any means. So again, just I think simmer down a bit there. So that's me to me. That's not me to you. That's me telling myself simmer down a bit by being disappointed. All right. What we do have to simmer down on, though, is a couple of things here in training camp. I think the alarm bells that are ringing here for some Oilers fans in this training camp so far for the Oilers about the problems in training camp. Are there problems in training camp? No, there aren't. Not player problems, not personnel problems, no problems like that. And there are no on-ice issues here either for the Edmonton Oilers. Again, I would simply say I was an absolute mess at the start of the NHL season last year, even throughout the preseason, as the Oilers slept their way through and then failed their way through almost the first 3 months, if you count September, 3 months of the regular season and preseason counting for one of those 3. So again, I was bitterly disappointed. I was visibly upset, and I was at one point wearing a squirrel suit. So I go from that place to tell you this. Okay, this is where I would say from now a year of experience with a slow start in training camp, if you would. I would tell you simply for the Oilers here in this one is they have to fill the roster with somebody that can play a game. Obviously, they've done that through the first 4 games of the preseason, and it hasn't necessarily been pretty, and that's fine. Again, you've played Winnipeg and you've played Calgary. Guys on Calgary, every single player in that Calgary organization, if they are not fighting tooth and nail for a spot, a job, or a spot in the lineup, they are doing it wrong. Calgary is not a hard team to make this year, and deservedly so. Everybody has a shot in Calgary this year. I don't think that's a stretch. It might be a stretch for somebody in Calgary outside of an Oilers fan perspective, but again, if you're with me, let's be honest here, right? Calgary is going to be a lot of fun to laugh at throughout the regular season if they don't find the right mix and surprise. Connor Zary, I tell you, he's going to be scary to watch this year. Could put up 30 the way he was playing in that preseason game a few days ago. But then you look at Winnipeg. Winnipeg, literally an amazing team throughout the regular season last year. Had some struggles in the net and just overall against Colorado, and it didn't work out. But again, that's Winnipeg. They dominate the regular season, struggle in the playoffs. We know that. You know, they beat us 4 straight in the playoffs a couple of years back, but again, you throw this roster against that roster back then, we dummy them in 4 straight, no doubt about it. So make the assumptions where you will, right? And I think everybody's moms raised them better than to assume. I hope so, but you get where I'm going with that one. So for the Oilers right now, is any frustrations you have, any problems you see as a fan watching the game, I'm going to tell you, are unwarranted at this point simply because the Oilers are not icing the NHL level, and the guys that are on the NHL level have nothing to fight for here. And when I say make your assumptions, do you really think there's a true battle at fourth line center? Do you really think the Oilers don't have a clue that having Emerson at the second-hand right D and having Stetcher as your third pairing isn't the best option, right? No matter what camp proves, right? It is quite clear the Oilers know what they've got. Again, there are 2 spots up for grabs. I would say maybe 1, and even that doesn't come down to a battle because you got to know what you got. And for the Oilers, are you going to send Derek Ryan to the minors? He's been a steady Eddie vet for you. He's one of your oldest players on the team. He's a guy that loves the dressing room. I mean, no, right? And yeah, okay, somebody can out-battle him, but I still think the Oilers will choose Derek Ryan 9.5 times out of 10. I just think we can assume that safely, knowing what we know and understanding the situation. Yes, there's been some great guys. Noah Phillip obviously has been an awesome surprise to see where his game's at after a year off. Don't kid yourself there. I think on the D side of things, again, I don't think the Oilers would want to bury Troy Stetcher by playing him higher in the lineup, like in a second right-hand D position. I think Ty Emberson was brought in with the expectation of playing there, and I think it's just work that until it fails and bring somebody else in. We all know that. And again, when it comes down to everybody hating Josh Brown before he even plays a regular season game, again, do you think the Oilers signed Josh Brown to a $1 million contract because they loved him? Or do you think they signed him to a $1 million contract because it's fully buriable in the minors, right? This is very simple. Is Josh Brown is best served or best serving the Oilers by being ready when called upon if needed, by being fully buriable in the minors, and being pretty much waiver exempt, even though he has to go through waivers. He's got a 3-year times $1 million contract. Josh Brown is the ultimate fail-safe in case you just don't quite feel comfortable bringing Max Wanner up for an extended period of time, bringing up Phil Kemp for an extended period of time, right? There's guys in the system that maybe it's like, hold on, we'll let him play a little longer into the season, and we have Josh Brown around for the next 3 years just in case things aren't quite where they need to be in Baco to bring up that next move. So I think basically what I'm saying here, and I think it's very warranted, is there ain't a single problem at Oilers training camp. In fact, it is exactly as I expected, and I think for those of you wondering, hey, Tyson, where's been the live streams on Dolynny TV during the preseason? Those things always go crazy. Why is that not happening this year? There's literally no point. There is 0 point in this year's Edmonton Oilers training camp. You already know what the roster is. You already know what the lines are going to look like. Yeah, okay, the 13th forward, sure. Traditionally speaking, that guy plays about 20 games a year. So if I'm going to get uppity about who's going to play 20 games a year for the Oilers and have 5 points, that's not an interesting video to watch whatsoever. I mean, I might as well have slept through it like I did yesterday morning, right? So you got where I'm going. Anyway, friends, we march on the preseason, albeit as uninteresting and boring as it has been. We get closer and closer by the day to October 9th, and I look forward to meeting you down at Rogers Place to celebrate another Edmonton Oilers home opener that night as we get geared up for what is going to be an absolutely incredible season here in Oil Country. I'm up on out of here. You enjoy yourselves this evening. We'll talk if there's anything breaking. Thanks for being aboard.